All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the Black Box Podcast. Now, let's talk a little bit about Michael Avenatti, the lawyer for Stormy Daniels, who has been someone who has just been taking on Donald Trump like no other, was arrested and has allegations against him of physical abuse from his ex-wife. However, Michael Avenatti is someone who is completely denying this. There was just a story in the Washington Post that was printed, well, published online, if you will, about 1 hour prior to this recording, and they've made the statement that Michael Avenatti was, arrested. He spent some time in police custody. Now he has been released, and he is denying these allegations 100%. So what on earth is going on? Well, let's talk about Michael Avenatti for a little bit, because on this channel, we cover two main subjects, true crime and the upcoming presidential election in 2020. And today was one of the times when these two things have intersected. I really have to stress that Michael Avenatti might sound like someone who isn't very serious about becoming president of the United States, but what we can say is that he is very involved in the exploratory process, way more involved than a lot of the other people who are, proclaimed as more serious Democratic contenders. For example, Michael Avenatti he's been touring Iowa and Vermont, and he actually had two engagements in Vermont where he was planning to promote himself as the upcoming presidential candidate for the 2020 general election to contend first in the primaries, and then, to contend in the primaries, he would have to do very well in Vermont. But both of those engagements were canceled by the Democratic voters of Vermont. They decided to cancel their engagements with Avenatti. So you got to ask yourself, what's going on? Is Michael Avenatti actually guilty of these allegations, or is this just some sort of smear tactic that is being used by people who are in a sort of position of power to just get Michael Avenatti out of the race? Like, what's going on with that? It's a giant question, and I don't have the answer for that. And I think only a handful of people in America actually know what's going on, because the article from the Washington Post was talking about how Michael Avenatti and his ex-wife were not even in the same they weren't even in the same building on the night that she described the encounters of physical abuse. But at the same time, there it is. Michael Avenatti is somebody whom I thought he was going to run for president, and to be honest, I did one upload on this channel previously talking about the possibility that Michael Avenatti would be running for the presidency. But what I said was, I think he should run purely as sort of, in the entertainment factor. He would make the debates kind of interesting. He would be kind of a different voice. He would be somebody who is offering a different perspective. Furthermore, he has a very large first-hand take on what it's like to challenge Donald Trump. As far as we know, he is still representing Stormy Daniels, not only as a spokesperson, but also her actual attorney. He's actually going through all of those things. He's a regular on all the cable news shows, but what happened is that he had these allegations against him, that he committed physical domestic abuse against his ex-wife. I mean, as far as I do understand, though, they are still married. They're just estranged. So when I use the term ex-wife, we probably should recognize that they are still legally married. When I saw the news story on the evening news tonight, instantly I was just like, holy crap, Avenatti's done. It's over for him. It's just like, this is something that is just going to end any chance that he would become president of the United States. Well, sorry, not that I don't think he is going to become president of the United States. This would end any chance he would have of having a sort of run for the presidency. He wouldn't be able to formulate any sort of major campaign if he actually has, these early on allegations of physical abuse coming from a woman. We're still in, we really have to recognize the power of allegations that still happen and what this could do to somebody's reputation, as well as, what if it's actually true? Then, that's kind of a whole different set of parameters going on. What is the likelihood that these allegations are true? I mean, you watch the evening news, and they're making it sound like these things are very, very real, and Avenatti did something destructive. But then when you are reading something in the Washington Post that they put out on their website just an hour ago, it's really making it sound like they're 100% false. Avenatti is denying them completely. He calls them bogus. And as far as I understand that, the journalist, is not quoting Avenatti when the journalist is saying that Avenatti and his wife weren't even in the same building on the day that the allegation allegedly took place. So then we have to think: is this somebody trying to take out Michael Avenatti because they fear that he is kind of causing trouble? Is someone just wanting this individual to just go away for a while? I would definitely say that this is going to hurt his reputation. Two groups in Vermont don't want Michael Avenatti to attend now. They are both supported by the Democratic voters of Vermont, and that's really bad. That's really bad for him. I really do have to reiterate that I don't believe that Michael Avenatti has any chance at all of becoming the Democratic nominee for the presidency in 2020. But what he could do is, or what I thought he would have done prior to the allegations, is that he would have had the chance to build up his own career. I think he would have been a very entertaining member of the debate panel. I think that he would have contributed a lot to the discussion, and perhaps, for someone in his position, he could have brought a lot of genuine ideas forward. Like, when you're in a position when you don't expect to win the presidency, those are the people that get to talk about ideas. Those are the people that get to say things without a filter. They can just, say whatever they choose to say, especially talk about things that they genuinely believe, and actually talk about ideas that they have to move the country forward. And you can also make more honest criticisms, and you don't have to kind of use the watered down rhetoric that's just trying to become so bland that it's just palatable to absolutely any person in your party during the primary, and then palatable to every person during the general election. We all know that that stuff happens. We all know that campaign rhetoric is out there, and it's designed to be intentionally deceptive. Have you ever heard that politicians lie? Have you ever heard that politicians do not tell the truth? Well, that's what's going on with Michael Avenatti. And we really have to recognize that he is somebody who perhaps could be perceived as somewhat of a threat to the Trump administration. Does that mean that Michael Avenatti is going to be done with? I don't think so. In fact, anything, I think he's probably going to be sort of building up some forces to talk about how he can retaliate. He doesn't seem like someone who's going down without a fight. And, like a lot of people in the sort of cable news world, as we mentioned on the previous upload about Avenatti, were saying that he is somebody whom they believe is a fighter, that he is going to fight Donald Trump to the absolute end. I just would like to know, though, what is going on with these allegations? I mean, we have the Washington Post denying everything. We have Avenatti denying everything, just saying that these are completely false, that this is just trying to take him down. It's just like you gotta ask yourself, well, who's telling the truth then? Is it Avenatti's ex/estranged wife, or is it Michael Avenatti himself? Like, who's telling the truth? Do you think that these events actually happened? Do you think that there's any truth to the events that are going on? Was Michael Avenatti actually, guilty of this? Or do you think that this is just a political attack because people are worried that he's either going to do something to the current administration, or that he is actually going to be perceived as a threat in 2020? By a threat, once again, not that he would win, but that he could say something in the debates that would hurt the current administration, that he could just kind of tarnish the reputation of the current administration. By that I mean the Trump presidency. Or are they worried about protecting, their own reputation, so they wanted to do something to get rid of Michael Avenatti? I mean, I did have that feeling. As soon as they announced this on the evening news, I was just like, this guy's done. I thought that this upload here would be talking about how Michael Avenatti is going to be finished, his life's going to be over, we're never going to hear from him again, they're just going to... Well, I mean, they said he was arrested on domestic violence charges, and those are things that we cannot take lightly. And furthermore, I mean, to actually have any sort of chance at running for president when you have this enormous domestic assault on your head, like, wouldn't that just destroy him? Well, what happens is they're saying that none of this happened, and this is just a total political smear tactic that is being used against Michael Avenatti. Well, let's follow the story a little bit more and let's see what happens. Furthermore, I'm not completely convinced that Michael Avenatti is done for the presidency. In fact, I think he's really going to try and rebound, because I don't think he's going down without a fight, and I don't think he is going to do anything until he's the last person standing. I mean, not that he would actually, be victorious, but like last person standing in the sense that he isn't going to give up until he's not going to go down without a fight. That's all I'm trying to say. All right, well, that's my little rant for today about Michael Avenatti and his arrest on domestic violence charges that have been brought forward by his ex-wife. Let's talk a little more in the comments section. Do you think that this will hurt Michael Avenatti's career? What do you have to say?